So hello everyone, I'd like to welcome all of you to another installment of Hydrocarbon Processing's Refined View. Today we're going to be discussing the idea of the digital plant and how digital technologies are advancing and optimizing operations. So this discussion is going to be a deeper look at an article that was published back in the July issue of Hydrocarbon Processing, and that article is called "What If Your Plant Were Truly Digital?" The article is open access, so I highly recommend that you check it out. You can check it out, of course, at hydrocarbonprocessing.com. Now, joining us for the discussion today are two very special guests. We have Harpreet Gulati, who's Senior Vice President, Planning and Operations Business for AVEVA, and Fernanda Martins, who's the Senior Marketing Manager, Chemical Industry for AVEVA, and the author of the July article that we're going to dive into today. So with that, Harpreet, Fernanda, how are y'all doing today?
Very good, very good. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hi, yeah, very good. Thank you for having us.
Excellent. So I want to go ahead and just jump right in. First off, what are the major impacts refinery and petrochemical companies are facing through this pandemic?
Great. So these are unprecedented times. There's been major volatility in the oil and gas downstream market and some unprecedented demand destruction, demand changes. One that is affecting the price, demand, and on top of that, there is this need, the desire sort of has accelerated on how quickly we want to effect the energy transition and get to net zero. As a result, a new normal scenario is applying pressure on the entire value chain, forcing refining and petrochemical companies to reevaluate their business and operating models. They must keep an eye on the future, make faster, better decisions at any time, including during this crisis. But this decision making needs to get faster and faster. I've had a discussion with quite a few people who, during the time when the oil prices were really fluctuating a lot, had to replan their entire slates on almost on a regular basis. Normally they would do this perhaps once or twice, a month at the most. They were doing these on a regular basis. So really things are changing fast, and they need to respond, and then overlay that with the need for this energy transition, and we have a perfect storm. There will be winners and there will be losers, and I think we really people who are going to survive. There'll be asset sales, fire sales, and that's already happening. Almost 2 million barrels in refining capacity has already been shut down, right? With the demand sort of compression and all of those things. Really, agility is going to be the center of attention for who survives at this end. I think the only thing we can be sure about from 2021 is that this volatility will continue.
And now it's a great segue into my next question, is because I'm almost positive that digital technology can help in this recovery. So that leads into my next question is how can companies use digital technologies to recover?
I think COVID-19 has really transformed the way people work. It's just almost the pandemic has brought to forefront that we can work remotely. There were new ways of working. Everything needed to be digitized. Everybody was working remotely. So really, we have now numerous new possibilities, new ways of working, new levels of efficiency, collaboration, all of that, almost, this mass testing of new technology that got forced on us. So I think the biggest thing I'd say is investment in digital capabilities today has just driven by the competitive market pressure, but also by the need to optimize and grow, ensuring safe operations and analyzing the right data across the organization to make business decisions. It's not a matter of recovery. They need to make sure they'll be ready for the next downturn, the next set of volatilities that happen, and they will continue. So I would say the best thing they need to do is everybody needs to adapt digital, and people already are at a much faster pace. They need to set up their digital roadmap and really get this in order to be agile and nimble. They will need to adopt these technologies as they come in, be it from cloud to AI to blockchain technologies to high performance computing to really address their decision making.
Yes, that's the one constant is change, especially in this industry. And so I do want to focus on that now because you'll have certain companies that might be going through very hard challenges. So I'm kind of curious, what are some of the key points that companies can focus on now to be better ready in the future for the volatility? Because it's going to come.
Oh, that's a very good point. This is the new reality is really shaping how technologies enable and empower the workforce. That is going to be at the center. In fact, this whole post-pandemic view that we'll have a fully automated plant is not quite accurate. In fact, more the workforce has become even more the center of attention. How do we empower this workforce and to make these decisions? So really, no matter how complex or domain intensive the underlying functionality, the relevant information that we get to this workforce, we need to contextualize, we need to simplify, we need to help people make faster decisions. So this is where the ideas of sort of getting cloud as a mechanism to get the connected worker, AI as a way to condense this vast amount of information, learn from it, and present optionalities or options to people, guidance to users, so that they can make all of these decisions. So this automated guidance and learning support are necessary to provide digital expert assistance. Industrial software has become easy to use. There's a lot of stuff that has really, the UI and the interaction, the mobility aspects of it. The technology has gone a long way and there's a lot of improvement done. But I'll highlight 4 areas that are in the current scenario would be very helpful for companies. The first one I would say is obviously the supply chain, right? You need to people need to evaluate, with the demand changes, with the jet down almost 3 million barrels, with diesel fluctuating a little bit, gasoline was down quite a bit, has recovered a lot. The low sulfur fuels are still out there. What people will need to do is evaluate different types of crudes. They will need to look at different scenarios and how to run their refineries to handle these different mixes of crudes, mixes of scenarios, look at petrochemical integration as things are moving out here. So the supply chain, looking at the entire value chain, how to bring it all together and is going to be the key to this agility and robust decision making. The next thing would be how to sort of affect this, as you're making decisions in the market, looking at distressed cargoes, just looking at all these scenarios. How do you get the operations to behave as nimbly and really working together? So really optimizing real time your operations and to sync it up with the economic steers that are coming in the market in an agile way is going to be the next thing. Now, all of this has to be done in a environment which is reliability is going to be the key. The overall, if you look at the utilization is hovering around 70, mid 70s is where the current utilization is. Traditionally, this utilization has been upwards of 80, close to, in fact, in the US, is upwards of 90%. So really, as you swing these operations quite a bit, reliability is going to be the key. So things like predictive maintenance, reliability-centric maintenance is going to be key on how well you are able to respond to these changes. And the final is getting all of this information, information from multiple sources. We call it our edge to enterprise visualization, which is IT, OT, sensors, all of this information, really bring it all of information in a clear, concise manner. So you're not looking at this vast amount of information, but rather looking at analytics, which are guiding you in the right place in the right time. So really, those are the few high-level areas I would say. There's lots of specific areas. I would include things like enabling the mobile workforce. How do you get information to the environment? How do you get rid of all paper-based workflows? Anything that is requiring, I'd say eliminate waste. There are I'll give you a specific example. In construction, sometimes 50 to 60% of time of a worker is wasted just waiting on information, waiting on things on somebody else. So if you can empower and really make this collaboration make seamless, there's a huge amount of productivity gain that can be gotten out there. So there's lots of ideas, but those are the 4 condensed ideas that I would bring, which are highest, which sort of bubble up to the highest priority.
No, those are great points. And I want to go back to your first point on the crucial topic of supply chains. So I'm kind of curious, can you provide some real examples of companies who are better managing their supply chains because of the use of digital applications?
Oh, I think it's a great question. I'd say everybody is really trying to do that best. The supply and trading arms of pretty much all the companies have been hugely active. But I'll give you some, really leading examples of that that we've been working with. I'll bring up BP. BP has traditionally been very at the forefront of really how operations and trading really work in sync. They were one of the first guys to actually move the whole supply chain software into the cloud. And BP CIO Claire Dixon actually presented at one of the conferences, where she presented that a decision of which is evaluating a new crude, which used to take a scenario to run all the different scenarios, used to take them about 7 hours. Okay, by using the power of the cloud, so rather than doing it on a laptop which has 4 cores, or maybe a bigger machine that somebody has maybe 16 cores, they could harness the power of the cloud. They could just have hundreds of cores sort of spin up and start solving all these technologies. They were able to reduce that time to just over 3 minutes. Imagine from 7 hours to just over 3 minutes. Okay, before this whole the whole workflow of evaluating a new scenario took them about 2 days. They reduced it down to 2 hours. Okay, and even within 2 days, what they used to do, maybe run that scenario once. Okay, and because it took 7 hours to do it, they run the scenario and do all the post analysis. Now that it takes them 3 minutes, they are doing much richer analysis of different. So they're running the scenario. Another 3 minutes later, they can run another set of a couple of hundred scenarios. So that the richness of the decision, the robustness of this decision is at a whole different level, right? And so to me, that is a classic example of how you can use technology to really aid yourself and deal with the market uncertainty. Yeah, another great example I'd give is ADNOC. And ADNOC, I bring it because they've been really they've been publishing a lot of information in the open literature with their Panorama program, right? And AVEVA has been involved in the Panorama program more from their visualization layers. It's a beautiful sort of wall they have at their headquarters, which is 160 feet wide, 10 feet tall, where they have basically their entire ADNOC's value chain depicted, all the key components, KPIs brought together. But underneath is a value chain model where they're able to look at all 15, 16 of their different operating sites and really trade off and look at the market scenarios, look at all the flexibility at all of these sites they had, and trade off different decision points they could make. To produce more propylene or produce more petrochemicals, how to use gas, export, import, all of those scenarios going all the way down to the distribution layer. And the benefits they realize, just to say, get ready for this, in 3 years, they reported over $1 billion in benefit from this Panorama program.
That's incredible. Yeah, I've seen photos of it. It looks absolutely incredible.
It is quite a step out, I would say.
Okay, now Fernanda, I didn't forget about you. I want to bring you into the discussion. My question is, for you, is reliability and safety, of course, has become more critical in a time like this. So my question is, what are the latest technology trends in those areas?
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. And as you know, reliability for this type of industry, asset-intensive industries like refining petrochemicals, is really critical because any unplanned downtime can really disrupt their value chain seriously. So at AVEVA, thinking of that, what we did is building a reliability platform that will help companies to ensure they keep maintenance costs under control and also operational safety. So we are very well known for our predictive analytics solutions, and also the online process optimization that has been used by large corporations for decades. So what we did was combine the deep learning model with a rigorous first principle model and infuse it with artificial intelligence. And this generates a model that is sophisticated and capable to provide the best cost-effective choices for both operations and maintenance. So the difference with this is it has extended range, so it's not limited to the operational range that used to train the model. It's more accurate, and it can predict the failures earlier, giving the maintenance team enough time to plan their actions, picking the right resources, picking the right time, align it with operations. So in the end, what we have is a 360 view of the risk related to the asset and process health degradation combined. And this gives companies the chance to develop a much better maintenance strategy. So this is one of the latest developments we did that involves artificial intelligence, and it's really bringing improvements to this area.
Excellent. And I want to come back to you here in just a sec, because I have another question on some of those models that you mentioned. But I'm going to go back real quick to Harpreet. So I want to talk about data now. So of course, today organizations have a huge amount of data that they can get each second. I mean, as you mentioned with BP. So when I think about this, what's your recommendation about the best approach to improve visibility and efficiency in this area?
It's a tough question, that's something everyone is really grappling with.
Well, we asked the hard questions here at Hydrocarbon Processing.
I knew it wasn't going to be easy. Say, look, first thing is really the getting the data. I mean, I'll tackle it in multiple phases. One is getting all the information across your entire value chain. You know, we call this edge to enterprise visualization, really bringing all aspects of it, just like in ADNOC, they were able to bring information together from multiple sources, from really all the way from their ships, where the location of the ships, where the information all the way into their upstream assets and the wells. So really bringing information, the richness of this information. Now, obviously, that's going to be a lot of data, right? So the next thing is to really start condensing this down into a form that is it's consumable for people to understand and slice and dice it. So this is where analytics and really bringing information, the right context and all of those things, to be able to do this. 3D models would play a huge aspect of so, because people are more visual rather than looking at it. You want to be able to do with the new technologies coming like HoloLens and all of those, things, they're becoming mainstream. We got to learn how to use this information and technology. So really trying to make sense of it, either through analytics or use of 3D technologies, context sensitive, all of those things. The next thing is really to get the fidelity of this data, right? That's another thing, that how accurate is this? Can people trust this data to really make sense of this information? So really the fidelity, that it needs to be reconciled. We need to remove the noise out of it. And this is where I would say overlaying it with really models and those kind of technologies would come in place. How can we sort of bring information from just pure field data to predicted data, and really see if are we tracking on what's happening out there? Is it really how it should be? Sort of that comparison comes in here. And the last I would say is really learning from this data to be able to make sense out of it. And that's where things like AI would come in together. How do you make sense of decisions in the past or data that is available to you, overlaying that with models and really making, sense at the point of decision, bringing in options. So that's sort of all the moving parts together. And it's a huge amount of work being done both by AVEVA as well as industry partners in this.
Excellent. And so where I want to go next, I want to go back to you, Fernanda, because I want to talk a little bit more about those models that you mentioned. So my next question is, how the different models, how can they help the industry get more benefit from their data?
Okay, yeah. To talk about the models, let's take take the big picture, and the way I'm going to bring this, it aligns very well with what Harpreet just said. So models are very much related to a big trend that we have in the past couple of years, the digital twin. So for us, the digital twin, we can see it as having three basic elements. So you need data, you need models and analytics, and you need visualization. So as Harpreet said, we needed to bring this data. So a digital twin needs to have access to different sources of data, depending on the purpose you have for this. So it can be a data historian, or it can be even an engineering database, but it must have these links to get access to this type of data. And this data feeds models that will convert data into information that will be more useful to the workers, to the users. So models also can have like different types. We mentioned first principle models, predictive analytics. It can be any type of model depending on your objectives. And with these, we convert data into context information that is useful, but it doesn't work to do all this effort to have good data and accurate models if you don't bring this information in a friendly, easy format to the person who needs that information. So also the flexibility to bring this information in different ways to different users depending on their needs. It's also something that is very important. It can be a dashboard in a mobile, or using augmented reality to bring more context to someone in the field. So data, models, and visualization are the three key elements that we focus very much when we are talking about digital twins. So it doesn't work if you only have like the most accurate model in the world. You need it to consider everything that is around. And so this is one important thing to talk when we talk about modeling.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So I got one more quick question, because I know we've talked about a lot of things in the past 20 minutes or so. For people that are watching this and have additional questions, maybe they want more information, is there someplace they can go, say on the AVEVA site, that they can get more information, or even have questions and need additional information? Where's the best place they could go for that kind of info?
Do you want me to answer that, Harpreet? So yeah, the website is a great source of information. And if you look for the webinars, we have been having like webinars the whole year, bringing different topics, different people talking about technology and applications. And also the other thing that I was going to recommend is the AVEVA World Digital event that we're going to have in January 26 to 28. And there you can have like 3 days of wide variety of technology, different people. You'll find industry panels, so people that are working on the same industry that you are. So this is another great source of information. And even in the website, you can find ways to chat real time and find more.
Not to forget the article that Fernanda has already published in hydrocarbon processing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned digital. I've been to the AVEVA ones in the past, and they've been really interesting, especially because y'all do a great job at focusing on the latest technologies and how it can be applied today. And it's great because you actually get real world people who actually can say, yeah, this is what we've been doing, and this is how we use it, and this is the benefits we receive from it. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So definitely, people check out that site as well. Well, with that, I really cannot thank y'all enough for your time today. With the significant adoption of digital technologies within the hydrocarbon processing industries, we really want to thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time, especially for these crucial topics. Like want to mention though, please remember to visit the hydrocarbonprocessing.com site. Check out that July article. It's called "What If Your Plant Were Truly Digital?" The author's here with us today. The article, like I mentioned, is open access, so please definitely check it out. Anyone can read that material there. So with that, we want to thank AVEVA and of course all of you for watching today.